All cars have arrived at Mlandizi Control. Yes, here they are. We found them. All the cars are stopped dead up here in the Pugu Hills. Heavy flooding everywhere. A bridge is out. One of them is waving a distress signal at us. This could be the end of the entire East African safari.
Well, Billy, let's keep our fingers crossed that we get over that damned Mbulu section without falling into those 5 washaways.
I hope so, and I hope it's don't have to do much pushing there, because I lost nearly 14 pounds last time.
Oh, I'll make you push all right.
All East African safari drivers used to talk like that, British. But this year, Americans appeared in Africa, bearing cokes and elephant jokes. A change in footwear was seen on the mechanics. Among the East African gym shoes appeared Texas boots.
TWA Transworld Airlines, Flight 840, now departing for Rome and Athens, connecting with Ethiopian Airlines.
The Americans came with their cars, upwards of 10,000 miles, by jet from California and Michigan. Americans who knew cars, oval tracks, and rally courses went almost halfway around the world to put the first American cars to the awesome test of the East African Safari. In Nairobi, they stepped off into a land only 4 months out of its colonial cocoon. The minds of the Americans were on the cars, 6 red, white, and blue Lincoln Mercury Comets, to compete in the safari. 4 more were here to test roads and back up the others. The Americans and their cars came early, to work, drive, to test, to try in 4 months to narrow the 11-year lead the East Africans already had. There was another American entry, a Volvo, sponsored by a Californian recently settled in Kenya. Bill Parkinson, a Nairobi police officer, would drive. He decided to use revolutionary new American Commando tires to get through the safari terrain.
See that thing in there? Yes, it's completely open. Oh, they went straight in there.
2 days before the rally, officials told the Americans the roll bars in their Comets would disqualify them. The crisis continued through the night until scrutineering, their word for inspection. Comet Technical Chief Fran Hernandez sweated it out. A compromise was reached. Roll bars were modified and met the meticulous requirements of safari inspectors. Key parts were coated with light-sensitive paint. The Comets got a clean bill of health. Now rally fans flew to Kenya for the wild Easter weekend. Englishmen, Italians, French, Scandinavians, and Americans took jets to Kenya just to witness the bizarre high-speed rally. It's late afternoon now, March 26th, 1964. The notorious East African Safari is about to begin. 12 drivers of the 6 American Comets talk quietly, make little jokes, and eye the threatening sky. Safari officials purposely schedule this rally at the start of the rainy season. Torrential rains are already reported in Uganda and Tanganyika. The Singh Brothers say this is going to be a mean one, but vow to finish the rally. The first leg will take them all northwest, across the equator and the Mount Escarpment at night, along Lake Victoria into Uganda, back east, and then around Mount Elgon to remote Amudat, down the wild Tambach Escarpment, around Mount Kenya the second night, and back to Nairobi. The second leg will send the cars south to Tanganyika, into the treacherous Mbulu section at night, through Kiroka Pass, and east toward the Indian Ocean, into the Pugu Hills, then north through the Shimba Hills to Mombasa at night, and the long drag back through Kibwezi to Nairobi. Total mileage, 3,200. Car number 1 mounts the ramp and gets the signal. Cars 2, 3, and 4 lead the British Cortina team. Each class of stock car gets its position by drawing lots. 2 drivers enjoy a final feast at the starting line. 8 women are trying this time, 3 of them wives of drivers. 1 native-driven car takes off. The Comets are positioned near the end. Americans Ray Brock, Don Bailey, and Leroy Neumeier get a big send-off and abundant advice. At 3-minute intervals, they zoom into the Kenya night. Well, this is it. Worst in the world, they call it. Viscount Kim Mandeville and Peter Walker are in car 81, last Comet out. They chew up the dirt, eating each other's dust. Dust turns into slime as the parade of 94 cars gets into the Londiani Tinderet region. The first night takes its toll of cars and scores. Only 5 red, white, and blue Comets emerge in the dawn's early light. 80, 81, 74, 73, 79. Where's 76? Leroy Neumeier and Don Bailey bought trouble in Tinderet. Rear ends all but torn out. Miraculously, the Comet backup team locates welding equipment in a fertilizer plant in Tororo. Neumeier races there for emergency repairs, hoping to get back on course before running out of time. But no soap. The clock cuts 2 Americans out of the safari. 5 Comets are left. They're now highballing it west into Jinja. The crowd has waited at this point since 3 this morning to see the big American cars. All cars look small as they edge along the hydro dam on the Nile River. The Yanks have special horns behind their grills to scare off wild animals. Giraffe chasers, they call them. The sound of the Comet is heard in Uganda, but the animals don't always budge. Cars now switch direction from west to east and roll through Tororo. They have to reach each control at precisely the right moment. Sometimes they just can't. "94 cars are in this rally, from Japan, Sweden, England, France, Germany, America. Cortinas, Saabs, Contessas, Renaults, Peugeots, Volvos, Mercedes, Datsuns, VWs. Drivers knife northward with optimism. Only 5 points now separate the first 10 cars. 5 Cortinas, 2 Comets, 2 Mercedes, and a Saab. Several cars are dead with burned-out clutches. 2 have rolled out, but most are doing well after a rough night. The Singh Brothers pilot the lead Comet now, number 80. Drive with them at 100 miles an hour on twisting dirt roads, and you can see why they lead. Into the controls of Umbale, Muyemba, and Kangalai rolls the front runner, Cortina number 2, driven by Mike Armstrong and Chris Bates, who in past safaris have won everything but the one top spot. Only 1 point behind are Peter Hughes and Billy Young in Cortina number 3. This rally is stopped and restarted this way 77 times. Now past Mount Elgon, north into remote mountain country. Natives of many tribes and languages watch the safari faithfully all along its vast course. But here they wear less and care less. Roads turn rocky. Tires and suspension take the punishment. Parkinson takes Volvo 56 into the Koku-Mangoli area. Kenyans Dunk and Greenlee snake their Cedric up the Tambach Escarpment. While these cars have been shipped and flown in from other lands, most drivers are East Africans. The strange truth is that no non-African driver has ever won the East African Safari. Zodiac number 69 skids to a stop and backtracks. This is no place to get lost. This is Amudat. Primitive people, tricky roads. Every minute lost is a point lost. The penalty points stack up one by one. 240 and you're out. Volvo 53 is out. Gunnar Andersson flew here from Sweden, only to be pulled back to Nairobi at the end of a rope. Vast escarpments, cliffs surround the East African plateau. Now we switch to our flying camera to track progress of the safari as it approaches a dramatic point.
We're flying 200 feet over the safari course as it approaches the spectacular Tambach Escarpments. We've spotted car number 28 below. That's Eric Carlsson and his Saab, going flat out on a straight dry stretch. But he's going to have trouble right ahead. There's the incredible drop he has to manage in the next hour. Now, we're halfway down the escarpment, and there's a Cortina winding its way down.
The cars are doing the African twist along these cliff walls. Some of these drivers have been entering the East African Safari for years. Others are out on their maiden voyage. They all face their second rally night arcing around Mount Kenya, where much of the freedom fighting went on a few years ago. Sunrise finds the Comets arriving alarmingly late at Runyanya's control. Car 74 has a chewed-up fender. They all accept their penalty points, knowing they cannot make up what they've lost. Cloudbursts face them all the way to Kangande. Anton Allen and William Young crashed their number 52 Citroën into a bridge abutment. The total wreck hangs on the bank precariously. This car was all they had. What will be, will be. This stretch takes a stunning toll in damage and setbacks. MG number 92 manages the mud. It is within safari rules to accept pushing or towing help for short distances. Without natives pitching in, no one would finish the contest. The Comets have been here. A Mercedes goes out with a broken axle. Stones puncture the MG's radiator. They're down to patching with chewing gum now. No good. 2 more Kenyans are out of the rally. Not all hazards are natural. Here is a welcome mat in the form of large stones to tear the guts out of a racing car. Stones were thrown yesterday near Kakamega. There are better roads in East Africa. Safari officials purposely route the 94 cars onto tricky back roads in poor condition, bad enough to sift good drivers and cars from bad, but good enough to let somebody win. The northern leg ends as cars enter Nairobi for an 8-hour rest. Car 2 is in front, 3 is next. 4 out of 5 of the best-ranking cars are Cortinas. Carlsson Saab is in 3rd place. 1,400 miles are behind them. 1,800 to go. The death toll in the northern leg has been very high. 32 vehicles lost. 62 go back for more. Cars couldn't be touched during the enforced rest, so the Comets get emergency attention at a planned stop in Nairobi. The Americans have a fight on their hands, and they know it. Now leading the 5 Comets are Viscount Mandeville with Pete Walker in car 81 and the Singh Brothers in car 80. They tackle Tanganyika throughout the 3rd night. They pass Mount Kilimanjaro. The miserable Umbulu section slows all the cars. They taste dust, mud, and sand. Rains are wild, but concentrated in small storms. By dawn Easter Sunday, they are driving on 2 stripes in the wet grass and heading east toward Dar es Salaam. And this is how driver and co-driver switch. Some cars have 2 strong drivers. More often, the navigator takes the easy transport sections. Eric Carlsson and co-driver Gunnar Palm from Sweden are doing well, but they were doing well last year until they rolled and crashed. It happens again this year, but they're lucky. They hand-roll the car back on the road, check it for wear and tear, and quietly drive on. Parkinson is doing the best of the Volvos. While drivers race east to Suguta, the mud becomes very slick. They wag their steering wheels violently to keep traction in the tricky terrain. Hundreds of miles of this is tough on men and cars. Control volunteers wash away mud to see which car is which. After 3 days of this, the wear begins to show on the faces of the drivers. Now comes vicious Kiroka Pass. This is the top of the pass itself. No trouble, yet. The Cortina team still leads. Heavy rains a few hours ago have left a formidable mud trap. Drivers forget about staying on schedule and now try only to get through. They start to stack up, and that makes it all the worse. New rains fall to swell the streams and deepen the mud. Smaller cars up front slush it up for the big, heavy Comets that follow. All cars are the same color now, mud brown, and they are all in the same trouble. Watch Vauxhall number 5 spin off the road into a mud pit. Out of nowhere appears an army of help. Some are happy to help for nothing. Others demand 100 shillings. Co-driver Bardwaj rides the bumper and boot handles for many miles to keep the Vauxhall on course. A Zodiac goes off the road right into the camera. It may take 5 to 10 minutes of pushing to clear a car like this. And then the co-driver mustn't be left behind. Here come the Comets, riding like bronco busters. The American-sponsored Volvo goes through the mud without difficulty on its rugged Gates Commando XT tires. Now the cars that remain fly flat out to the Indian Ocean. They are welcomed in Dar es Salaam Stadium by lively rains and excited spectators waiting faithfully all day. Among timely arrivals are the wives of rally drivers Cardwell and J.D. The husbands went out earlier with a broken axle. And here are last year's outright winners. This year seems tougher. Carlsson in his number 28 Saab continues to stay close to schedule. He leaves the capital of Tanganyika and heads for the dreaded Pugu Hills. A new nightmare. Very slippery clay roads draw cars into the Pugu forest. Days of heavy rains are causing flood conditions. Zodiac number 69, driven by Gobi and Treadway, loses traction in the clay and dives into a swamp. Neither driver is hurt. Here comes the lead American car. It's Mandeville and Walker in 81, staying on the road. Something strange is happening at Mandeville Control. An hour and a half go by and not one car emerges from the Pugu Hills. This could be the end of the entire safari. Let's go up to our flying camera.
We can't find anything yet. We've spotted 3 cars headed west toward Mandeville Control, but nothing. Yes, here it is. Floodwaters have the car stopped cold. They're waving handkerchiefs at us. They're waiting for the flood to recede. Now they've got one through. He's racing for Mandeville.
And here he comes. It's Cortina 3, Peter Hughes and Billy Young, now 3 points ahead of car 2. In 12 years, no safari car ever went through anything like this. Another car gets through. Here are Armstrong and Bates in car 2, safe and sound. They'll be telling stories for years to come about how these cars got through those washouts. This silent control post has become a small carnival. The leading Peugeot has broken through and is coming into the control. It's car 50, driven by Robert Shanklin and Kamruddin Kassem of Tanganyika. Now the Comets make it and charge northward toward the Shimba Hills. The 4th night is the toughest. The moon is sometimes visible through the rain. Northern Tanganyika is like one giant wet sponge. Eric Carlsson's famous wife, Pat Moss, Sterling's sister, is still running strong. The trick now is to hold onto the steering wheel without falling off. When you go so long without sleep, you can drive into oblivion and never feel a thing. All 5 Comets have come out of the final night, but plagued with penalty points for lateness. Parkinson and Volvo 56 has the same problem. Doing fine, but they won't let you make up what you've lost. Normally, the safari drivers race past wild animals without batting an eye. But when they approach a rhino or an elephant, They do it very carefully. Tragedy strikes the Americans. Word is received that 3 of the 5 remaining Comets and Parkinson's Volvo are among the crowd of cars time-barred at Muheza Control. The news goes out on the shortwave radio that connects 900 volunteers manning the controls. But 2 Comets are still very much in. Can the Cortinas hold together on this home-stretch dash from Mombasa to Nairobi? That's the big question now being asked all over East Africa in the early hours of the final day. Instead of playing it safe, cars 2 and 3 tear across dry roads for home. Their Cortinas scratch a trail of choking dust across eastern Kenya. Nairobi waits. Anton Allen reads about the rally while his car lies wrecked up north. Crowds await the first car in. Later inspection doesn't alter the standings of the winners. Peter Hughes and Billy Young in Cortina number 3 come in as outright winners of the 1964 East African Safari. The Cortinas win the manufacturer's team prize as well. In second place come Erik Carlsson and Gunnar Palm, a victory for the Scandinavians. Here comes a Comet. Viscount Mandeville and Peter Walker bring in Comet number 81 to lead in their class. Next come the Singh Brothers, who swore they'd finish this safari. Hughes and Young receive a little cash and a lot of glory.
Yes, I like this car a lot. It suits my style of driving. We hope that if we compete in it next year, it'll have a bit more power. I also hope, Billy, don't you, that the American cars come back, because I think there's another car with a great deal of potential.
The Americans allow us how they might just do that. Brave Brock symbolizes that determination as he receives the American trophy as the front-running American driver. The crowd makes it plain that the new American cars are the most popular of them all.
As the 1964 East African Safari ended, the public learned that out of 94 cars that started, only 21 came back. 2 of them were American Comets. 3 cars were never heard of again.